All right, let's talk about something that's on a lot of people's minds. Retirement. Specifically, that nagging fear. What if I outlive my money? It's a huge question, right? Well, today we're going to tackle a tool that's built to solve that exact problem, the annuity. Now, I know, they can seem super complicated, and choosing one feels like a massive chore. But don't worry, we're going to break it all down and make it simple.
Think about it. You've worked for decades, right? You've built up your savings, your nest egg. But now comes the really big question. How do you turn that pile of money into a reliable paycheck that you know will be there every single month for the rest of your life? That's the puzzle, and it's exactly what annuities are designed to do. They're basically a way to create your own personal pension.
So, here's our game plan for today. First, we'll look at the retirement puzzle itself. Then we're going to bust a major myth about those company ratings you always hear about. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of what really matters, how to find an annuity that fits you, and finally, the big red flags to avoid. Let's get into it.
So let's talk about the retirement income puzzle. I mean, wouldn't it be amazing to have a retirement where you're not glued to the news, stressing about every little dip in the stock market? That's the dream, right? A kind of financial fortress? And that's what people are usually looking for with annuities, income you can count on, no matter what. Plus, protecting the money you've worked so hard for, and maybe even getting a little bit of steady growth.
Okay, let's move on to the allure of high ratings. If you've done any research on annuities at all, I bet you've heard this a million times. Just pick the company with the best financial rating. And on the surface, it makes total sense. I mean, you're giving them a lot of your money, so of course you want a company that's rock solid, right? It sounds like a no-brainer. But is it really the first thing you should be looking at?
And when you look at a chart like this, you totally get why that advice is so common. I mean, look at these scores. The Comdex score, by the way, just kind of averages all the big rating agencies into one simple number out of 100. And when you see these powerhouse companies with scores of 98, 99, even a perfect 100, well, it feels like the safest decision you could possibly make. A lot of people see this list, pick one, and they're done. But what if I told you that's one of the biggest mistakes you can make?
Yeah, that's right. Because here's the thing. A good rating is important, for sure. It's like the minimum requirement for safety, but it is not the whole story, not even close. If you only focus on the rating, you could be missing what actually matters for your bottom line. Let's dig into that. This quote right here, it nails it. A high rating just tells you the company is financially strong. That's it. It says nothing about whether their actual annuity products are any good for you. Think of it like this. A five-star restaurant might have an amazing reputation, but that doesn't mean every single dish on their menu is what you want or what you can afford. The rating is about the company's health, not the value of the specific contract you're looking at.
So you've really got two ways of looking at this. On the one hand, if you just focus on the rating, you can get this, false sense of security. You might end up with a contract that actually pays you less or charges you more in fees. But the other way, the contract-first way, is all about looking at what will actually hit your bank account. It's about focusing on the guarantees, the nitty-gritty details written right there in the paperwork.
So what do I mean when I say focus on the contract? Well, we're talking about the real engine of the annuity. Things like, what's the guaranteed payout rate? How much are the fees every year? What happens to the money if you pass away? Does it have any special features, like an income rider? These are the details that make all the difference between a great annuity and a not-so-great one.
Okay, so if the company rating isn't the starting point, then what is? Where do we even begin? This is the big shift in thinking. The smart way to do this is to flip the whole process on its head. You don't start with the company, you start with you.
Yep, before you even glance at a brochure or talk to an agent, you need to ask yourself one simple, powerful question. What is the number one job I need this money to do? Are you trying to create a paycheck for life that you absolutely can't outlive? Is your main goal just to protect your savings from market crashes but maybe get a little growth? Or maybe it's something really specific, like making sure you have money for potential long-term care or leaving as much as possible to your kids.
See, once you know your main goal, it acts like a filter. It makes everything else so much simpler. If that guaranteed paycheck is your top priority, well, then you'll focus on annuities with the best income guarantees. If it's more about protection with a little bit of upside, then maybe something like an indexed annuity is the right path. Your goal tells you which type of annuity to even look at in the first place. All right, so now you know how to find the right stuff. Let's switch gears and talk about what to run away from. Seriously, knowing the red flags, the things that should make you stop and say, wait a minute, is probably one of the most important things you can learn.
So here's a quick checklist of things to watch out for. First, ratings. We said don't start with them, but they still matter for safety. Generally, I'd stay away from any company with a B rating or less. Second, Be super careful if you hear the word annuitization. That usually means you're giving up your lump sum forever in exchange for payments. You lose control. Third, demand guarantees. Don't fall for fancy charts showing what your income might be based on market performance. You want to see the guaranteed number in black and white. And last but not least, fees, fees, fees. You got to watch them like a hawk. Some annuities have fees that are 2, even 3 times higher than others, and that could just eat away at your money over time.
So let's wrap this all up. The big takeaway here is this. Finding the best annuity for you is not about picking the company with the #1 rating. It's about becoming a smart shopper who looks past the hype and reads the contract. It's about finding the highest guaranteed income and the best terms that match what you want to accomplish. It's that simple.
And that brings us to the final question. And this one's for you to think about. Now that you know the right way to look at this, ask yourself, what is the single most important thing, the one guarantee you absolutely need from your retirement savings? What promise does it have to keep? Once you have the answer to that, you're not just looking for a product anymore. You're looking for a solution, and you'll know exactly how to find it.